Okay, Studio Art. Hope you had some success working on eyes. Now we're going to do a little bit of a lesson on how to draw a nose. I attached also in this post a couple of other videos that I found online about techniques for drawing noses. Most of those, there's a real formula for the nose where you build shapes and how to draw kind of a good quality generic nose. The things I'm going to talk to you about are much more about looking closely and drawing what you see. I've talked about my art teacher from when I was in graduate school, Martha Erlbacher, who told me just make sure you teach students to really look and really see. And I'm going to give you some tips, but drawing a nose is really about really looking. Because the first point I'm going to make, as you know, like eyes, all noses are different. The second thing I want to talk about when dealing with drawing a nose is this idea of a closed shape. A closed shape or a closed form is something that you draw where the line connects back to itself and separates an area from another area. So if you were drawing, when you were drawing your eyes, drawing the inside of the eye, the eyeball is a really closed shape. It's got an outline around it. The nose really doesn't have an outline around it. Right? It's just skin running into skin and changing its kind of contour. So you don't want to have a line that defines the nose, like a triangle. You were probably taught to draw a nose as a triangle when you were younger. That creates a shape that is kind of removable. The only closed form for a whole nose would be like a Mr. Potato Head. On the nose, this is point number 2, the only real closed forms, as you can imagine, are the nostrils. Now, we're really talking about drawing a nose from straight on, not from any kind of an angle like that, but depending upon the shape of a person's nose, you will see more or less of the nostrils. Some people have kind of a turned up sort of pug nose, and you actually will have those nostrils in view, or you might just see a little bit of them at the bottom. So if you're talking about when you're defining a nose, what happens down at the bottom here is the only place where there are going to be real lines and closed forms, like a nostril. So I'm going to go look in the mirror and start the bottom of my nose. Okay, so here's what I've got so far. Thinking about these open formed, how much of my nostrils you can see in kind of a closed form there. See, it's a closed shape. And you'll notice I also, before I started drawing, I made a little guideline at the top, light and bottom, and the center line down the middle that I would end up working across. So I know I'm imagining this is how high that nose will go, this is how wide, and the relative width to the height. Okay, before I went in and started putting in those nostrils. The third point, and I'm going to talk about those little outside of the nostril lines, is this idea of a open form line. An open form line is a line that does not enclose a shape. So all the rest of the lines on the nose would really be these kind of open form lines. So this space here, so this line that defines the outside of the nostril, it does kind of curl around on me, but it doesn't tuck into it. It leaves that open form there. It leaves that open form there. It's kind of a mark of the crease that exists here, but it doesn't close anything off. It doesn't make it so that my nostrils will pop right off my nose. So the third point is that the only real lines when you're dealing with the nose are the bottom of the nose and the outside of the nostrils. The rest of the nose is going to be built with value and shape, and those lines are open form lines. So the fourth thing that I want you to be mindful of is, so now we've got open form lines around the nostrils, we've got on the outside of the nostrils, we've got closed form lines just for the nostrils themselves, a line delineating the very bottom shape. But then as we move up the nose, it's all really a matter of open form shading. Typically from where the light is, there'll be some shadow and there'll be some highlight, and you just kind of work your way up by shading or changing value with whatever material you have. These are all, this is kind of a rough rendering of my nose here, but this plane here of shadow that gets created on one side, some highlight wrapping around and some highlight coming down here. This is that push and pull with your shading techniques or changes of value, however you do it. Really, the defining moment when you draw a nose is that bottom. And depending upon what you're looking at, if you've got a white hot flash of light, this whole area here might just be flattened out and be white, and maybe all you'll see is the nostrils and the bottom of the nose, and then that space is just kind of a void of lightness. So that's what you want to think about. It's really about observation. Concentrate on looking at the bottom and then work the values moving up. And then the last thing I want you to consider, and I didn't draw this because I'm dealing with straight on, but if your subject is turned to the side, yes, you've got a line that defines that bridge of the nose or that shape, because my nose here is a separate shape overlapping in front of the part of my face. Or if you're in total profile, of course, you've got a line there. It's not just value. It's when we're looking straight on that we're just dealing with the raised contour of the nose. So one case in which you are actually defining with line as you move up the nose is if you've got the nose, the person turned in any quarter, in any three-quarter view or a turned perspective. Okay? All right, so go ahead and work on your noses. Look at some of the other videos that I attached. Those might also help you. Everybody learns in different ways and needs to approach things in different ways. I will get back to you with how to draw a mouth on Wednesday, and we'll keep moving on with this portraiture series. Now, I've given you eyes, I've given you noses, I'm going to give you a mouth. At any point, if you feel like pulling these things all together and trying them on a whole face, don't hold back, all right? I just want to give you some real specific lessons on how to do this stuff. Keep sending me submissions of work if you haven't gotten them in. I'm grading the initials projects. They're wonderful to look at so far. And some of the ones that I'm most excited about are the ones where really all four boxes kind of hold together as a composition because of the way trap shapes run into each other and patterns are created. But they're really fun, and I can see people work really hard on them. And have fun with your sketchbook. Stay safe, stay home. Bye.